Morning Island, it's Miss Lola. Just here to do another video about our sourdough starter. Hopefully you've been feeding your sourdough starter every day. Hopefully you've been feeding it the third of a cup of flour, a third of a cup of water, and hopefully all the natural yeasts in the air have now kind of come into your sourdough starter. Remember that yeast and bacteria, they kind of live in the air. And what happens is they're looking for food just like you and I. And so those flour and water slurry that you've created hopefully has enticed those natural yeasts in the air to come and live in your starter. Okay? So let's take a look at mine, and you'll kind of see that it's gotten really thick. It took a little longer than a week to get going, but I wish you could smell this. It smells so sour and fruity. It's really a kind of a lovely stinky scent if that's possible. So I'm just going to turn you around so you can see our sourdough starter. Let's get it lined up there. Hopefully you can see all those lovely bubbles and how thick it is. That's what yours should look like. So I guess the question is, how do we know if it's ready to make bread? Well, we have to do what we call a float test. So just like we've done with apples and pumpkins and other fruits and vegetables to see if they float, you're going to have to do the same thing with your sourdough starter. If it doesn't float, then you need to feed it a little bit of more flour, stir it up, and then check it in an hour. If it floats, then it's ready to make bread with. So that's what we're going to do right now. I've got a little cup of water here. It's room temperature so that we can see if it'll float. You don't want it too cold and you don't want it too hot. That'll give you kind of mixed results. So just room temperature water. And then we're going to drop a teaspoon of starter to see if it's ready to make bread. All right, so you want a teaspoon. This is our teaspoon here. I'm going to get a spoonful of our starter, and then I'm going to drop it in our water. All right, so teaspoon. Take our starter. Ooh, look at that. It's really gooey. So we're just going to take our water here. Going to drop that bad boy in there, and whoops, look at that. It is floating. So if yours is, goodness gracious, Miss Lola. Yours is floating like that. It's ready to make bread. So we're going to go ahead and make some bread here in my next video. I'll show you how to do a sourdough starter. It's a lot of work, so I hope you're ready. But the end result is a wonderful thing. You get to eat delicious, airy, soft, yummy bread. And then you just keep feeding your starter, and you have yeasts that you can use for bread every day if you wanted. Okay, so we'll get that started here. If yours did not float, add another third of a cup of flour. At this point, if it's kind of runny, just add the flour and maybe a tablespoon of water to help mix it, and then check it in an hour. If it doesn't float, add again a third of a cup of flour and a tablespoon of water. Stir it up and check it in another hour. Hopefully, your yeasts have grown in your starter and it's ready to go. All right, love you, miss you. Talk to you in a little bit.